Hi, I'm Chinlu.
And I'm Sal, and this is our next make.
On Earth Day, I started a 4-week challenge that will end on Endangered Species Day. My goal is to make something creative each day to showcase the importance of animals on the brink of extinction.
So this week, we thought we'd take one of those animals and turn it into a gift for our nephew. He absolutely loves elephants, so we thought we'd make something that would allow him to take his favorite animal with him wherever he goes. Earlier this week, Chinlu used her free SOLIDWORKS Apps for Kids account to model this African forest elephant. She shared it with the Apps for Kids community so anyone can riff it to make it their own. I'm going to make a copy of it so I can change a few things. I'll shorten the tail and curve the trunk a bit just by pushing and pulling on different parts of the design. This is a great tool to get kids interested in 3D modeling, but don't let the name Apps for Kids fool you. The interface is super simple, but it's the same modeling approach found in the X-Shape app that comes with a SOLIDWORKS for Makers license. So this tech is great for adults to practice on as well. Apps for Kids has a printed app that lets you print your creations in a variety of ways. You can 2D print a color by number sheet or a foldable cube print, or you can 3D print your model. Our nephew would love to have a 3D print of this elephant, but I want to level it up a bit by adding to it in SOLIDWORKS. I'll export an STL file from Apps for Kids and then import it into SOLIDWORKS for Makers. I can position and scale the model to get it just right, and then use all of the commands I'm already familiar with to modify the mesh data. This really opens up a world of possibilities for makers. We can grab mesh data from any source and then modify it to make it our own. I want to turn this elephant into a keychain that our nephew can clip to his backpack and take with him to school. I'll start by splitting the elephant in half. This will not only make it easier to print, but will give me an opportunity to design the keychain elements. I'll cut a simple dovetail-shaped recess in the elephant, as well as a few tapered holes that I can use to align everything when I later glue it together. I'll also model a matching dovetail piece with a hoop on it that I can print separately. When I print parts like this, I always add small offsets, and I do a bunch of prototype prints before I commit to the full job. I just temporarily cut away the majority of the design so I can print the parts that interface with each other. For this print, I found that a 10 thou or 0.01 inch gap will compensate for machine tolerances and material shrinkage. With those parts worked out, I now have to design the clasp that will hold the elephant to the backpack. I'm going for a carabiner style clasp, and I want to take advantage of the plastic's ability to flex to create the hinged portion. I know that if I design this sort of spring-like shape, I can encourage the plastic to bend in the areas I want it to. I'm also designing the spring to be on the outside of the hook. I know there will be enough flex in the print to quickly jump the spring arm over the hook, and once it's in place, it'll be slightly in compression and have a natural tendency to want to be back in its original position. This will help the clasps stay closed. To prevent the spring arm from accidentally jumping back over the hook, I've added this V-groove detail. It helps resist side-to-side forces and keeps everything in place. When designing this detail, I made sure to choose an angle that wouldn't require support material on the 3D printer. This is awesome. Check it out. I never get tired of seeing models leap from the computer screen onto the 3D printed bed. It's really just amazing. Because I printed the elephant in half, I have minimal support materials removed. Plus, the location of these supports are in places that are mostly hidden. I'll clean things up a bit with some pliers and sandpaper, and then think about how to finish the model. I'm sure my nephew would be thrilled if I just glued this together and painted it, but I want to take a minute to smooth out the layers a bit. There are a lot of techniques I could use here, from acetone to melt the material a bit, to filler primer, and a bunch of sanding, but I'm going to try something I've never done before and use wood filler. I'm not sure how it'll turn out, but I'm eager to learn. As you can see here, I'm just putting on enough to fill the low spots between the layers. Once the filler was dry, I sanded it with 300 grit sandpaper to smooth things out and then got ready to glue everything together. If you're looking for a really smooth finish, I'd recommend that you apply a few more coats of filler to really even out the surface. But I was eager to get to painting, so I moved on to gluing things together. Okay, we're going to use super glue to glue these two halves together, but the first thing we'll do is we'll set the posts in place, the alignment posts, so just a drop of glue at the bottom. Hold that in place for a minute. And I'm not going to glue this piece in because it's going to be trapped by the geometry, so we'll just leave that one loose. And now this is the moment of truth. Get enough glue on all the surfaces and then get them together. So here we go. It happens fast. Using a small brush, I applied a thin coat of gray acrylic paint. When it dried, I noticed that the 3D printed layers were still a little bit visible. So I sanded the model down to remove most of the surface paint, leaving only the paint that filled the low spots. Then I painted the whole elephant again, and this hid the layers even better. I really had a lot of fun with this week's make. Not only did it get us thinking about endangered species, but it also let us start simple, with a model and apps for kids, and then we can bring it into SOLIDWORKS to make it even better.
I remember when I was little, we had crayons, paper, we have Play-Doh. Now we have digital clay tools and digital sketching tools that allow us to capture our ideas onto a platform that can blossom into so much more.
Yeah, if you've got young people in your life, or if you're interested in learning this stuff, we highly recommend that you check out SOLIDWORKS Apps for Kids. It's absolutely free, and it runs in a web browser, so anyone can use it to create really cool stuff. We'll have a link for the website in our description below. We'll also have a link to the Made in 3D community where you can download the STL files for this if you want to print one for yourself.
And if this inspired you to make one of your own, or if you have any questions about what we've made today, please share it in the comments. And until then, we'll see you on our next make.